we're on the button with ace-jack suited. Ryan is in the hijack. He raises to 40 and makes a point to say that he actually did look this time. To me, this is a pretty big verbal tell. He's trying to indicate that he saw what he had, and it's strong. When people are attempting to convey strength, it's usually because they're trying to dissuade you from taking aggressive lines against them. When that's the case, do your best to disappoint them. The cutoff calls the 40. We have a hand that we're supposed to be 3-bet squeezing with anyway, but I feel even better doing it, given what the opponent has said. I re-raised to 160. What I don't particularly want to see is a 4-bet from Ryan. I still don't 100% believe that he has anything super strong. He's trying to tell a different story though. Tosses out a grape chip and 4-bets to 540. The cutoff folds quickly to get out of the way. Ryan wants to make it very clear that this isn't one of the hands that he's playing blind. Again, he says,
I did look this time though.
He's reinforcing the fact that he has something strong. I'm not buying it. The really tough thing to do from this point is to put my money where my mouth is. In equilibrium, you're supposed to call the 4-bet in position, but I'm pretty sure that I have the best hand at the moment, and there will be a lot of flops that I won't like. I have removal to big hands like aces and ace-king. Getting it all in now, while my gut is telling me to, seems like the best option. I only had 2,200 to start the hand. I go with my read to see if the opponent wants to play for all of it.
All in it.
How much was it?
2,200?
Oh, man.
That's a relief to get that reaction when we 5-bet shove. Ryan is deep in the tank. He's trying to figure out how much he'll be stuck if he calls and loses. He says that he's flipping it best, so maybe he has a small pocket pair.
Back stuck 12. Oh man, I want to gamble so bad.
During interviews for jobs at Google, they used to ask potential hires, if you were shrunk down to the size of a nickel and were put in a blender, what would you do? The best answer is to say that your strength to weight ratio would exponentially increase and you could easily jump out. The problem for Ryan is that he's a full-size human who's currently in a blender, and it's a big blender. He's not able to jump out of this one. Nearly a minute and a half goes by before the opponent finally folds. Alright, so we got that one through.
You're ahead.
Was I?
You're slightly ahead.
Okay, that's good.
Like very king queen suited.
I didn't want to call, and I didn't want to fold, and I didn't want to jam. I hated all my options. We're up 600 without seeing a flop after getting Ryan to fold what he says was king queen suited. I'm happy with the outcome. We're up $1,000 now. It's time for a $30 PLO double board bomb pot. We're under the gun with aces and sixes, plus we've got hearts. It's a beautiful hand. The winner of this pot will pay time for everyone at the table. We're going 7 ways to the flop. The first one is Jack 8-6 with 2 hearts. We flop bottom set and have the nut flush draw. The second flop is King 9-8 rainbow. We don't improve there, we just have our overpair. Small blind, big blind check. We're betting for value. We make it 100. That's evidently not an acceptable amount for the player on our left. He wants to make it more. The middle position player puts in the raise to 400. These PLO double board bomb pots can get big quickly. It folds back to us. We've got a strong hand on one board and a low to medium strength hand on the other. I call to see if we can improve, then maybe we can start piling money in. The top turn is the queen of diamonds. Jack 10 now makes it straight. The bottom turn is the 3 of clubs. It's most likely a blank, though you never really know in these hands. I check. The opponent has 1,500 total in his stack. He announces that he's making a pot size bet of 1,010. It's a pretty gross spot. I'm in terrible shape. If I'm up against something like King 10-9, it's just super rare that I'll be up against the nuts on both boards. I'll often be good on at least one board. In worst case scenario, if I am up against the nuts on both boards, I'll at least have some outs to potentially scoop the entire pot. I could also be up against plenty of worse hands and be in great shape. I don't see how I can fold here. I'm also not going to call for 1,010 and fold to a $500 jam on the river. I announce that I'm all in for 1,500 effective. The opponent snap calls. This isn't good. I show what we've got. The player shows that he's got the nuts on one board with 10-9, followed by the nuts on the other board with a set of kings. This is about as bad as it gets. At least we still have plenty of outs on the top board. We can hit hearts, or the board can pair to give us a full house so that we can maybe win half the pot. We're drawing almost stone dead on the bottom board. It's a little bit hopeless unless we can somehow drill an ace. Brace yourselves.
Pair the board. That's good.
Like super nutty.
It's very good.
Oh my god. It'd be so sick if someone had kings and 9-10.
Oh my god. Wow, you had king suit? Jesus. I scooped. I have full house.
It's a miracle.
Full house, and then.
Oh my god. That's insane.
Wow. Thanks, man. That is the most insane.
Double board kill is insane. That was the worst 2 rivers of all time. I mean, he's drawn to 2 outs here. He's drawn to 2 outs on both boards. Well, he has a lot
Great.
of carry. Oh.
I have them covered, yeah.
That's close to the luckiest that I've ever been in a big pot like that. We get the board to pair on the top board, in addition to drilling the Miracle 2-outer on the bottom board to set over set the opponent and scoop an enormous pot. To be fair, he got pretty lucky to drill one of only 7 outs on the top turn for the nuts there before we resucked out. I have to give the opponent credit though, he took the bad beat extremely well. His name is Tom. I noticed earlier that he's a vlogger and I talked to him a little bit about that. Perhaps him losing this pot in such a rough way will benefit him in the long run. Be sure to check out his poker channel, which is called
Lifestyle Poker.
Very Fitting. I'll have a link down below in the description box to his vlog. I've never won a hand like that before, but I'll definitely take it. We're currently at 3,000 on the session. We've got a great opportunity to build on that since one of the opponents is playing blind. Over an hour goes by before we pick up ace-queen suited in the small blind. It's been a frustrating hour because everyone has been straddling or double straddling, and I apparently used up all my run good for the day, as I've been losing $50 to $150 at a time by calling pre-flop raises and mostly bricking flops. Maybe that'll change this hand, which also has a straddle on for 20. Ryan has run up a massive stack of about 8,500, partly by calling a 3-bet with 8-3 of diamonds and making 2 pair on the river to stack my friend. Maniacs are extremely dangerous when they're running good. Ryan raises to 50 from the hijack. I was watching him closely to see if he had looked at his cards before raising or not, and he definitely didn't. The cutoff is a competent player. He probably also knows that the hijack opened blind. The cutoff 3 bets to 170. Our hand is too good to fold. Everyone is really deep who's involved so far, and that kind of makes the situation a little scarier. I cold 4-bet to 600, despite being worried that someone is going to 5-bet me. Ryan pretty much has no choice but to actually look at his cards for the first time. He takes a gander, yet he doesn't fold immediately. He's got some devious thoughts running through his mind. It takes him almost a full minute to fold what probably would have taken me half a second to let go of. We're still not out of the woods. The cutoff has already had a long time to think about what he wants to do. He isn't quite ready to fold though. It looks like he might be considering jamming for 3,000 total. I'd lean towards folding if he does, but in this game, ace-queen suited could be way good. I'd have to at least consider calling. The dynamics really get interesting when there are straddles on and a person is raising blind nearly every hand. Ultimately, the cutoff folds as well. That pot wasn't that large, but it's intense and stressful when you cold 4-bet like that. You have to worry about 2 players potentially 5-betting you. We've got ace-8 offsuit on the button and another straddle pot. The stack has continuously been dwindling. It's even more frustrating because I haven't been able to capitalize on Ryan playing blind for a long time. If anything, it's caused me to lose more money. He keeps raising, all of hands that should be ahead of him, but they don't hit. He bets, and when I'm not able to make a pair against him, it can become costly. Here he raises again to 50 from middle position. I've got a better than average hand. It's one that I would typically fold to a raise, but when the person raising may not have looked and we're in position, it's probably okay. I would 3-bet to isolate him. I just don't want the opponent to 4-bet me like he did in the ace-jack suited hand. I call. I have a question for Ryan before we get started.
Did you look at Ryan?
I just looked really just now.
Ryan confirms that he looked only after he raised pre-flop. The flop comes 10-7-5 rainbow. We once again don't make a pair. As expected, we're going to see a c-bet. Ryan makes it 40. Ace high could be good. If not, we've got a lot of cards that'll give us a straight draw on the turn. If we make a pair, there's a good chance we'll be best as well. I call 40, not wanting this pot to get too big. The turn is the 8 of spades, giving us second pair. Ryan is going to continue firing. He increases the bet to 170. I'm not too concerned that we're beat right now. We're playing against 2 somewhat random cards. Second pair is above average. I call with plans to call again on most rivers. The dealer puts out the jack of diamonds. There are 4 to the straight, and there's another overcard out there. The opponent winds up, then bets 800. It's a very big overbet. He's done similar things in hands with other people before showing down the winner. He hasn't really messed with me like this too much since I 5-bet shoved the ace-jack a few hours earlier. I also called him somewhat light for 2 streets in the ace-6 hand. He gave up on the river against me. He clearly isn't giving up here. There will hopefully be better opportunities for me to catch him if he indeed is bluffing. I fold. I reach to turn the camera off, and as I'm doing so, Ryan shows that he has king-6 offsuit for no pair. We would have won if we called. For those of you thinking that I needed to call, we play almost the exact same hand a little later with 4 to the straight on board. I had a pair of aces and folded. On the other hand, Ryan shows that he had a king for a straight. It's frustrating when you can't beat a guy who's playing blind against you, and he's either getting there or putting you in very tough spots given what you have. Over 9 hours into the session, we've got king-10 offsuit in the hijack. Ryan straddled from under the gun. I'd like to play a pot against him one more time in position with an above average hand. I raised to 50. Rather than call, Ryan gets creative with a 3-bet to 150. I'm not sure if he's looked, I suspect that he hasn't. I've got a hand that I ordinarily wouldn't open with from this position, and certainly wouldn't call a 3-bet with, but at some point, I'll make something relatively strong against this guy, and if I can catch him betting 2x pot on the river as a bluff, it'll all be worth it. I call for 100 more, we're heads up. The flop comes 8-7-5 rainbow. I just never flop anything against him. Ryan says that he's going to look at his cards for the first time at this point. He must not hate him, or maybe he does, who really knows. He bets 170. It's another situation in which I barely have anything. King high could be good though, and a lot of cards will give us a straight draw on the turn if we don't make a pair. I call, the dealer puts out the 5 of diamonds, we don't improve. The opponent may be getting concerned, he checks. There's a better chance that king high is best now. I'm worried that if I check, that's going to give away the strength of our hand, then Ryan can blast away on the river, and I'll likely have to fold again if we don't make a pair. I don't want that to happen. I bet 250 to sort of try and freeze him. If he calls and we don't hit a king or a 10 on the river, we'll probably check back hoping the king high is good. We don't get the opportunity. Ryan puts in the check raise to 770. Damn it, this is pretty annoying. I have no clue whether or not we've got the best hand. I don't see how I can call here though. I'm regretting the $250 bet. I've got no plan for the river if I call and don't improve. I'm flustered and I fold. To make matters worse, Ryan shows for the vlog that he wrecked my world with 6-deuce offsuit. He had an open-ended straight draw and 2 live cards, but we were ahead. I can no longer beat the guy.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I've been playing all day and I'm tired. We're way down from the high point, but still have a 4-figure win. Time to go home.